Elm Farm Oli, what a name. You would think that they would come up with a better name like Dixie or Betsy for a cow. Anyway, was the first cow to fly commercial in an airplane. Clyde Tombaugh confirms the existence of Pluto, which started the debate, is Pluto an actual planet? And Colonel Sanders opens the very first Kentucky Fried Chicken in North Corbin, Kentucky. The year is 1930, and this was Packard's Halo sports car for the 1930 model year. Let me introduce you to the 734 Speedster. But before getting into all of it, I'm your host, Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that dives in deep on the lost and forgotten cars. We cover the history, specs, design, post between 4 and 5 episodes each week, with engine episodes generally on Wednesdays. If any of that sounds of interest to you, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. A couple of announcements real quick before getting into the meat and potatoes. Auburn, Cord, and Duesenberg is having a shindig August 29th through the 31st. I will be there Saturday, the 31st. Also coming up rather quickly is the Old Car Festival, which is next weekend, Saturday, September 7th, and Sunday, September 8th. I would definitely go to that. If you've never been, it's a car experience definitely worth having. Saturday, September 7th is the best day to go because at night they light up all the lights and drive around the streets, and you get the feel of what it was like to actually live back then. I'll be there all day Saturday, September 7th. I hope to see you at both or either of these events. If you see me, be sure to come up and say hi. All right, 1930 Packard model lineup was broken down into 4 series, all 8-cylinder models. Starting out in the proverbial basement was the Series 726 and the Series 733, which was considered the standard 8, powered by the smaller 320 cubic inch displacement in line 8. It was good for 90 horsepower. The standard 8 could be had in 2 chassis sizes. The 726 series came on a 127.5-inch wheelbase chassis, and it was only available as a sedan and a chassis. And then you had the 134.5-inch wheelbase chassis, followed by the 740 Custom 8, which was powered by the larger 384.8 cubic inch displacement inline 8. A lot of people oftentimes just refer to that engine as the 385. It made 106 horsepower. The chassis was 140.5 inches. Followed by 745 Deluxe 8, powered by the same 384.8 inline 8. Makes the same 106 horsepower, rides a 145.5-inch wheelbase chassis. For the first and only time, Packard would offer a Speedster series, which was the 734 Speedster 8 series. It rides on a 134-inch wheelbase chassis. So Packards can be a bit confusing on their numbering system. The first number, say the first number is, we'll say 734. So the 7 is for the series. The last 2 numbers are supposed to be for the wheelbase chassis configuration. So 734, that would mean that it's riding on the 134-inch wheelbase chassis. But it doesn't work like that all the time. For instance, Series 733, it's the 7th series, but it rides a wheelbase of 134.5 inches. So it gets confusing from now and then. 1930 Packard Speedster was the performance model, and the name reflects that. It's not just the name of a body style for this particular car. Packard offered the 734 Speedster in 5 factory body designs, as well as chassis, runabout with rumble seat, boat tail, Speedster Phaeton, which our car is, Victoria, and sedan. The 734 used a modified chassis from the 6 series from 1 year prior with custom side rails to make it more rigid. They would also put the deluxe motor in the standard chassis, making it faster. The Packard Speedster also had some other tricks up its sleeve, like the ribbed exhaust manifold system, as well as dual throat Detroit lubricator carburetor, which boosted horsepower. We'll get to that in a little bit. Higher ratio 4-speed transmission. The engine casting was totally different than that of any other of the Packard 8s produced in 1930. The faces, which were bolted to the inlet and exhaust manifolds, were not vertical in plane, but at 45 degrees on a tent-shaped protrusion, which allowed more space and larger openings to the manifolds. Exhaust valves were increased to 1 5/8 inch diameter, the same as the inlet valves. The engine could be had with a standard compression head, which standard compression was 4.85 to 1, or high compression head, which raised compression 6 to 1. Speedster bodies were about 3 inches narrower and considerably lower than regular bodies. The windshields on the open cars were lower as well and did not fold forward. All bodies were designed and built in the Packard custom shops and carried custom made by Packard plate on the lower body panel. Let's talk specs. It rides a wheelbase of 134 inches. It weighs 4,344 pounds. Price, $5,210, which would be equivalent to you spending $98,128.95 in the year 2024. Total 1930 Packard production across all of their lines was 7,989 units, of which total Speedster 734-8 was anywhere between 150 to 113. Sources conflict. Of which 32 Speed Phaetons were said to be made. Moving on to engine, only one engine on offer for this car. That is the 384.8 or 385 cubic inch displacement flathead inline 8, 6.3 liters. It's good for an impressive 145 horsepower with the high compression head, 125 horsepower with the standard compression head. At around 3,200 RPM, an estimated 250 pound-feet or 338 Newton meters at 1,800 RPM. With a bore of 3.5 inches and a stroke of 5 inches, compression is 6 to 1, 9 main bearings. It is backed by a 4-speed manual transmission. This car was capable of 100 mile per hour top speed. Let's talk styling on this award-winning car. 2 bumpers that are joined together by 2 overriders that are painted body color, which really accents the bumpers quite nicely. Huge headlights. Here's my hand for reference. Headlights are mounted to this brace bar that bridges the 2 fenders. It also adds rigidity to the fenders so they're not flapping around in the wind as you're driving down the road. This car won the Car That Tells a Story award. The owner has owned this car since Eisenhower was in office. Just look at that grille. What a shot. Packard crank cover with Packard logo. Fenders are also very huge with marker lights. The marker lights are miniature copies of the actual headlights. Absolutely gorgeous mascot. Spoke wheels, fender profile, manual hood louvers. The battery box is actually right underneath this stainless or chrome plate. Rear fenders, brake lights on both sides, split bumpers with spare tire in the center. Notice the gas filler is on the driver's side, beveled real glass for the back window. All right, getting inside, but before we do, check out how cool these colors are. They're two-tone colors. The owner was telling me that Dick Teague helped him pick these colors out for this car. Door panels are basic, but it feels like a leather material. The door handle to get out looks 1980s modern to me. What do you guys think? In the comment section below. Door pockets for storage. This car being a Phaeton, it doesn't have roll-up windows, but has side curtains, which look like this when they're installed. This car doesn't have a trunk, so each door has a pocket to store the canvas sides in. The owner uses this as a map storage / glove box. Down inside the pedal box, clutch, brake, gas pedal, which looks like an upside down spoon. Then there's a place to rest your foot. The black button on the floor is the starter. The cowl vent is the lever just to the right of the steering wheel shaft. The steering wheel controls, one is for the headlights, the other one is for timing advanced, if I'm not mistaken. Handbrake, pull daily, which is the chassis lubricator, which lubricates most, if not all, chassis points when the lubricator reservoir has grease in it. Aftermarket turn signal indicators. Believe it or not, this is the radio, which has a key in which you need the key to operate it. Speedometer, where the needle is stationary and the numbers rotate. Odometer and trip odometer, coolant temperature, oil pressure, gasoline gauge, amp meter. I think one of these pullouts is for hand throttle and the other one is for choke. Clock, the knob at the bottom adjusts the hour hand, key, pullout lighter. Taking a real quick gander under the hood, vacuum fuel pump mounted right to the firewall with fuel filter glass bowl at the bottom. Flathead inline 8, intake and exhaust is on the same side. Notice that the exhaust runs on top of the intake and the exhaust manifold is ribbed. Updraft carburetor, distributor right in the center. Two-belt system, and it looks like this might have timing gears based on the thickness of the cover. On the positive side, this is a rare car, one of only 113, somewhere between 113 and 150 ever made. Prestigious and desirable, build quality, rare. Against it, said to have trucky-like handling. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. Two scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1930 Pierce Arrow or 1930 Packard 734 Speedster or 1930 Stutz Series M? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. On to the second scenario, and I forgot to mention in the very beginning, these may or may not be in the same price point, but which one would you rather have? 1930 Franklin Series 147 Pirate Sedan or 1930 Packard Series 734 Speedster or 1930 Lincoln Model K Phaeton? Once again, I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. All right, now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people that don't like that band. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. Or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. I call it the After Party. Gives you the opportunity to share your rides, stories, experiences. Anything car related is shareable on there. If you don't have Facebook and would still like to reach me, send me an email at what_its_like at a lost and mostly forgotten web provider, yahoo.com, if you want to reach out to me. Until next time, toodaloo!